Good morning and welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Live. We are live. Today is October 9th, 2023. Bender, how was your weekend?
Well, yeah, it was pretty good, except watching the whatever that was that the Broncos did again. It's tough being a Broncos fan right now. It's hard.
Just can't do it. My only saving grace for the weekend was Aggie losing and Cowboy losing. It's like that was, it's the only
watching that game. You're just like, how can you, like?
It's like the worst play of the
game.
Can
you fuck this up any worse?
Was when Gardner got injured. He was out for the play, and they run an in and around instead of just fucking going right at him. Their best cornerback, when they're already down several in the secondary, you try to run a dopey reverse, fumble the ball instead of just being like, you know what, we're going to go up tempo and just slam the ball down the field where we are throwing the ball. We're doing verticalities. It's like, look, I don't.
It should have never gotten to the point that, I mean, the turnovers were just ridiculous.
Taking the safety, ridiculous. All of it, ridiculous.
Yeah.
The defense sucking big dick against like the worst offense in the league.
Yeah. They started off strong and then they just fell apart.
I don't know. It's like ultimately you have to go back to coaching to some degree, but then you have to go back and look at it being like, you know what? It's
hard to watch.
Just very hard to watch. Very difficult to watch. So, yeah, I expect players to be traded soon. I think they're going to gut it. I think they're going to gut the shit out of it. And then figure it out from there. Anyways, all right. So on to other things. The world just wants to be angry at itself and those living on the planet. So we have some red candles coming into the morning with what's going on in Israel, Palestine, Gaza, however you want to frame that up. I see very little reason to debate right, wrong, any of those things. I think when it comes to war, I think that those things are gross. There is no right. There is no wrong. War is gross. It's necessary sometimes, but it's gross. So we go back we start playing the chart, look at the data, see what's going on. We get Fed minutes this week. We get CPI this week. We have a Fed speaker popping off like literally every 8 seconds, it seems like, for the entire week. I believe we get CPI data, or did I already say that? We get PMI, we get data, whatever, and Fed minutes at the same time. So we knew, Bender, and I think it was everybody could say with some certainty that after the run on Friday, we would ultimately at some point come back and check 15,000. We knew at some point we would come back and check 4,300. right? What wasn't that fair? Regardless of the headline, regardless of what it was,
Yeah,
we knew that
sure.
these things would come back into play, and they have to an extent. It's like Nasdaq definitely has put in a lower low in relation to the ES. ES has kept its base, if you will, in a lot of ways. Nasdaq is a little bit dopey over there. And I think when you have volatility, it's going to be exacerbated on things like that. So coming into the day, we've effectively sold down into levels of support. Um, and the ultimate question that is always asked when this happens is, now what? So now what, Bender? You
Now
tell us.
what?
You tell us now what? It's like in my heart and in my mind, when I look at everything, the fact that this is it, this is all we're down, tells me we have a pretty good chance to rally up.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at the VIX and how heated it is. What it's up 9%. It's like, yeah, VIX be heated. You look at the dollar. Dollar popped, but the dollar's been fading, giving reprieve to some of these others. Where does a dollar check back into before it starts to stabilize and go up? One of the things that was a little bit iffy, I think, in a lot of ways, was the dollar, picking and choosing when to engage as far as how it impacted equities. We saw that a couple of different times last week, and I think that's still going to be a challenge. So I think you have to strip back and go to the basics. When you have, global chaos, if you will, you have crude up 4% like it is. You have gold up about 1% like it is. Commodities catch the bid, and you start seeing some rotation as far as, okay, what is safety? Interestingly enough, Boeing not down too much. Apple holding itself pretty well. I don't know. I think you have to be very cautious of headlines this week and moving forward, because I think it's very easy to get headline fucked. Very, very easy to have that come into play. So stops and good entries and understanding your zone and not being greedy and taking what you can get here and there. If you catch a runner, it's like, God bless you. But headline fucking, I think, is going to be the name of the game this week. I really, really do. Because we don't know what headlines are going to come out. We don't know what's going to be pushing. It's like we are in uncertain waters in a lot of ways. So we have to go back to the chart. And even when we get headline fucked, almost always it returns back to the mean at some point in time within the next 24 hours, as far as, the trajectory that it was meant to be on. So keep that in mind. Be nimble. Bender, do you want to give us the walk and tell us what you're seeing?
Yeah. I agree with you. Like, look, I don't know what the headlines are going to do. I can't tell you. You say what now, and we don't know. All we can do is look at the chart, look at the setup, and keep playing the way that we, formulate a plan and adjust as necessary. But at least for now, I'm starting with the daily here, and the reason why is because, as we've been talking about for the last couple months, 2 months, 2.5 months, whatever it's been, we were waiting for 2 of the 3 NQ, Dow, ES to make a new low, and one of them to refuse, and then we look for that market structure shift on a longer time frame. So if you look at this blue vertical line, where that lines up on the charts, you can see Dow took it. That was from May 30th. Dow took it, NQ took it, ES did not. Right, so that's 2 of the 3. Maybe that continues to hold. If we go to the 4-hour, you have NQ looking like potential market structure shift there. I would like to see this come down a little bit lower in taking this out, because right now it still looks too ripe. But regardless, at least on the 4 hour,
And those are those candles, right? Where does that candle come from with that volume? That's a headline. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it's like these are the types of candles that I think we're going to see, and playing around them is going to be tough. So, I apologize, Bender, just from a visual, I wanted that to be kind of like taken in, as far as what the game is going to be.
It can exacerbate the move that was already in play, right? And sometimes that headline risk is that sometimes you get the setup and you play it the way that you had planned. When you see the setup, you engage, and there's enough headline that the move gets invalidated. But doesn't matter. You wait for the setups, you play the setups, you respect your stops, and go from there, right? It's a game of odds and probabilities, and if you continue to wait for high quality setups, you'll win more than you lose. So anyway, NQ here, you have that potential market structure shift on the 4 hour. And when we see that, we look for a fair value gap between the low and the high that gets made that takes out that previous swing high, right? So we make this move up, and then sellers step in, and then they all get taken out right here. Now we've got a gap down this morning, but the long story short is that you take this candle's low to this candle's high up here, the midpoint of that 14.91075. You're inside this 4 hour fair value gap. We'll zoom into a 60-minute and look at that as well. But just bigger picture is you have that potential here on NQ. And if we line up where this high was that was taken on the NQ, ES hasn't gotten above it yet. We were talking about 43.73 as kind of being that trigger, right? We haven't made it up there. And on the Dow, you can see where that comes in right here, 34.127. So Dow didn't get even close to it either. So NQ was kind of leading that move up, but it was the only one that was able to get up and over that. So again, for the bigger picture move, that 4 hour market structure shift, I'd like to see it get above that 43.73 area. I've got the top of that at 43.7125. So kind of up in here. That's 43.84. I'd like to see it above 71.25 and hold up there to show that market structure shift. It can get through there and then pull back, kind of like what the NQ did here. But let's zoom in a little bit. Here we'll go to a 60-minute. I'm going to zoom in just on the ES. Actually, I'm going to go down to, we'll stay on the 60-minute for a second. So this candle's high right here, which was the 29th of September. The low 42.35.75 that we put in on the 4th of October. The midpoint of that, 43.03 half. So I posted this chart last night because, at least to my eye, we are just above what would be considered equilibrium of this move, just above that midpoint. That's where it came down and held. It's wicked it a couple times, right? But thus far, that has held. Going to the 15-minute, we can see sell side down here, 42.99. Buy sides up here, 43.2275. You can see kind of relative equal highs in here. That becomes a target. So I would be watching, paying attention this gap right here, this isn't a just a regular trading hours gap, meaning that, overnight action traded into it, or like there's nothing in here. So that becomes, I think Mr. T calls it a liquidity void. When it enters that, it can move quickly up and through if we can get up in there. So again, this buy side is where I'd be paying very close attention to see how it reacts once it takes that. And same thing down here, sell side 42.99.5. That was the low from 3:15 or something. Yeah, 3:15 a.m. A couple other things that I want to bring to your attention. Let's look. I think I put it on this chart right here. Go back to the daily. So this, sure I got this. It was on this other chart. I want to show these moving averages real quick on the daily chart, just because. All right, there we go. Okay, so that orange line is the 20 EMA on the daily, and that comes in right at what we'd be looking for that market structure shift, right? 43.71.25. You got your 20 EMA on the daily right there. Now look what happens on the daily when it gets above the 20 EMA. Then you start to get some trending momentum. If it can ride that, even in here, it's like, it looks like, okay, well, it's not like it stayed above it all that long, but it kind of did, right? October 1st, all the way to, what was that, February 16th? So it can provide, you can get some of those bigger picture, longer term moves if it can clear that and start to use that as support. So I'll be keeping a close eye on that throughout the week. See if we can clear that. Obviously in here it cleared, pulled back down, and then reversed, and that became resistance. So I'm, again, just more things kind of line up to this 43.71.25 bigger picture. At the 20 on the daily there, we got that potential 4-hour market structure shift. There's a bunch of stuff in here that, again, kind of highlights that level for me as being one to watch. The other thing is the blue line that I just added. That is the 200 on the daily on ES, which obviously we're right here tricking with it, along with that longer term trend line. So there's a lot of stuff right here where we're at right now that should hopefully clear up the bigger picture of what's next, right? If we can get above this 200 and hold it, get above the 20, cool. Then it starts to look like we were talking about at the end of last week, like, okay, maybe the low for the year is in, and we can start to push back up. On the flip side, if we get back below 4,300, they're pushing down. Now I have to reevaluate and consider the possibility that these lows right here are still hanging out there just under 4,200. And I think that's about all I got. Unless you want to take a look at something else. The dollar, go to Mighty Ducket. here. Just to recap where we are. Talked about this candle's high being taken. The only thing left out there before a real shit show is up here. 107.99. That's the only thing left. I'm going to keep an eye on this 105.66. I actually have an alert set on that line, I believe. If we can get below that, then it starts to look like a market structure shift on the daily going the other direction, going to the downside. Dollar. Going to a 4 hour, you can see what that looks like. So these lows get taken here and that becomes resistance, and we could see the dollar start to sell down. Probably down into this area in here, 104, maybe down here, that 104.43, 104.64, kind of right in there. And that's about it. Sunny.
What you got there, Sonny?
Morning, everyone. Yeah, kind of muted on the news. We know where all the headlines are coming up for the conflict in the Middle East. So I tried to gather as much as I could, starting with the China news. So they're targeting a 50% boost in computing power as for AI mainly, and they're speaking about using it for finance and education. Um, because of the curbs from the chip, the US on the what chips could be exported to China. So they're looking more towards building their own. Um, they did some with Huawei, and they're going to look more to invest in that and ramp up using in-house chips versus depending on Europe and Americas to send them equipment and chips. Disney news. So Nelson Peltz, he's been wanting to get on the board for Disney for a long time. They increased their stake to $2.5 billion in Disney, and he's asking for multiple seats on the board now. So this will be interesting to watch. Usually, whenever you see, activist investor, we get a headline like that, see a pop, and then fade. So I think sometime during the business hours, this headline's going to pop again. Google announced they created a new generative AI search capabilities for doctors. It's a sort of a misleading headline because what this is more for administrative work, for billing and things like that. They can find more ways to fuck you. So it has nothing to do with looking at X-rays and finding out the disease and all that stuff. Some preliminary numbers from the Golden Week in China have come out. Tourism was up 130% year over year, almost like 1.5% over the pre-pandemic levels. Travel increased by 70%. However, the spending per tourist was down 2% below the pre-pandemic levels. So mixed set of data. Delta Airlines took a hit. They're saying because of the fighting in Israel, but more because of the oil shooting up. And that usually affects more ticket prices than anything else. Amazon Prime Day starts tomorrow, 10th and 11th. A lot of other retailers have put sales also, Best Buy, Target, things like that. I think Amazon will put out some really good numbers, especially with all the savings that they've been doing, uh, shutting down services that were not making the money, as well as cutting back on using Amazon boxes, and they'll just send it as is, wrapped in plastic in the manufacturer box. So keep an eye on those headlines. So they should probably put a number out by end of this week, how much billions people spend wanting to buy junk shit from China. And Hells would like this. The Birkenstock IPO is going to be out this week. They're seeking a valuation of $9.2 billion, which will put them third behind Nike and Deck and above the rest of the shoe industry.
Bender,
I feel like Hells has probably made an impact on the Birkenstock number.
is this when I sell all of my Tesla and buy and load
Yes,
into
please.
Yeah.
Then we can hear Burke, Burke, Burke.
Is this it? Is this that moment in time?
Yes. I think you're getting close to it, especially all the negative Tesla news coming in, that they're going to throw Musk in jail and Tesla's keep cutting prices. They're gonna be in the can soon.
Every time you hear Tesla is cutting prices, it's like the headline could equally be Tesla makes a move to secure more market share.
Exactly.
And
And
so
now,
it solidifies their service earnings.
yeah,
It's like it's so fucking stupid.
yeah. And now they're saying, okay, the Tesla price have gone down so much, they compete with regular ICE vehicles,
No, they do. They
Yeah.
do compete. The base model competes with a regular ass car.
Yep.
Um,
So
whatever.
that was like a little blurb, it wasn't even a headline. So they're like, yeah, the price cut is achieving the goal that they want to do. So uh, upgrades, downgrades, upgrades, ARMK, uh, on Oracle, ZS. On the downgrades, DDOG, Splunk, Spot, ZWS, and 10B, TENB. They all got downgrades. Events wise, I don't have anything. Oh, ARM got a whole bunch of buy ratings. Today is the first day of analyst ratings for ARM. So, other than one, one was pure perform. Rest everybody was buy with the price target of between 60 and 65. Dark pool wise, nothing significant on the Megatech. Um, Spy had a nice line I posted in my room, so you might not watch those lines. And BA had a nice 5.5% dark pool at 187.38. And that's it. And when I get my SPX numbers, I'll post them in the room.
All right. All right, everyone. So we know the game. We know where we're at. We know how things are kind of looking. Man, just trade smart. Just trade smart is all I can really say. Be wise with what you're doing and how you're looking at things and what scope you're looking at them through, what lens that is that you're trying to see them through. If you're just trading the candles on the chart and nothing else, you'll be fine just like any other day, any other week, any other hour. But some of that noise out there and that fire hose that's being directed at, and I say it specifically at Americans, is really fucking strong right now on social media. It's very, very strong. So just be careful and understand that your brother is your brother, your family is your family, and that a lot of the stuff that's on social media right now is pumping with pure and utter agenda. Don't forget that. Pure and utter agenda. And the last thing you want to do is look back 10, 15 years from now and be like, yeah, no, I was caught up in propaganda and I was fucking on the wrong side of everything. Just be cool. Just be cool. That's all I got. You got anything else, Bender?
You got Apple at 176.76. I got the chart up here right now. Midpoint of this move, this down leg here, 178.80. So that's going to be a big one to watch. Again, if Apple starts moving, market can, play along. So I'd be keeping an eye on that level, that 178.80.
Makes sense to me.
Nice move after filling that gap.
Yeah. It's like, look, you can see the VIX wanting to pull back down. You see the dollar wanting to pull down. It's like, okay. But Bender, before we break, I think it's important to note, just because Aggie's Aggie, right? So Aggie wants to celebrate his preseason victory over in Cypher, aka Encryptor. Preseason, basically meaning it doesn't matter. There's nobody keeps track of it. Nobody cares. But for the purposes of Aggie losing to Bama and winning the preseason casino game, Aggie, there you go, buddy. You finally won something. Too bad nobody cares. On to the real game.
Yes, the real contest started last night. The winner of this week in the casino, whoever the leader is at the end of the week, will get 30 days free of Black Box. So if you're not in there playing along, you want that 30 days, get in there, join in on the fun, be prepared to get robbed. There's lots of crazy shit that goes on in there. Lots of just people trying to rob and thieve and do horrible acts, which I'm not going to get into. Yeah. Hell's it. Did you decide you're going to make it your purpose? Just
I don't
because,
know.
I mean, look, at the end of the
know.
day, I can't win. You can't win, right? Like what we don't. So we might as well just, play a part in the grand scheme.
So right, as far as just being pure criminal. So I've looked at it two ways. It's like I can be a criminal and rob, and I feel bad because I keep on nailing Gideon for dollar after dollar. It's like I feel really bad about hitting that boy the way I have been. But he's one of the few players that actually goes for it with his gambling. So it's like it's twofold. It's like I want to try to win, and then I can gift it to somebody. I'm assuming I can gift
You can.
the W.
You can.
Or
I just don't know how okay, if you're going to maybe pass it off like a little bit to, somebody at the bottom of the list. Okay, cool. But you don't really want to swing the outcome of the game with gifting. Like robbing is part of the game, but
I'm
no one
talking
else is going to be gifting.
The membership piece of it. Like if
I'm not
going to give anybody any money. So within the deal, no, that won't happen.
If a mod is at the top of the list, it will go to the first member.
What?
Yes.
So I wouldn't even
user
have. Well, then that makes it easy. Then I'm just going to be a pure criminal.
Exactly. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
You might as well.
You always take choices away, Bender, with your rules. Your moving target. Bender.
I don't know what to say, dude. I don't know what to say. I'm just trying to I'm just trying to set it up so I'm trying to take from the perspective of a member that's in there playing.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's probably the right thing to do. Probably.
So anyway, if you can't get into the room or you're having trouble, shoot me a DM or ask in chat or something if you can't find it. Let us know.
But again,
nothing else.
Congratulations to Aggie for kissing his cousin. Really awesome. Amazing. Congratulations, Aggie.
Enjoy your trophy emoji.
All right, we got about 7 minutes until open. We will see you soon.
See you soon.